The Great Wall was not built of stone. It was built of human lives. No wall stretches for thousands of miles on stone alone. To build something like that, stone is not enough. You need something cheaper, something replaceable, something that disappears without leaving a trace. You need people. Today, when the world looks at the Great Wall, it sees a wonder, a symbol of strength, a masterpiece of human civilization. But history does not live in photographs. History lies beneath. Beneath every stone is a body that never returned home. Beneath every step is a pair of hands that broke and were forgotten. And beneath the entire wall are hundreds of thousands of lives swallowed by silence. No graves, no names, no records. Only a wall that still stands, cold, endless, and unmoved by the cost of its existence. This is not the story of a monument. This is the story of power and the people it crushed to make itself eternal. No one volunteered to build the Great Wall. They did not come for honor. They did not come for glory. They came because they were ordered to. The order did not ask. It did not explain. It did not care if you survived. When the empire demanded walls, it did not summon architects first. It summoned bodies. Peasants pulled from their fields. Prisoners dragged from their cells. Men labeled as undesirable, as if their lives had already been written off. Some were criminals. Many were not. But once your name was called, you no longer belonged to your family. You belonged to the wall. The journey itself was a punishment. Weeks of walking, minimal food, chains cutting into skin. By the time they reached the mountains, many were already broken, and the work had not even begun. There were no machines, no mercy, only stone, mud, frozen wind, and commands shouted by overseers who never lifted a single block themselves. Men carried stones heavier than their own bodies. They climbed slopes where even animals refused to walk. Those who collapsed were not rescued. They were replaced. Time mattered more than life. Progress mattered more than breath. If a man died, his body was not carried away. It was used, buried beneath the foundation, packed into the earth, turned into part of the wall itself. Stone above, bones below. The empire did not see this as cruelty. It saw it as efficiency. A wall must stand. Men can be replaced. And so the Great Wall grew, not only in length, but in silence. No one counted how many died building the Great Wall. Empires rarely count what they consume. The records spoke of progress, of sections completed, of miles secured. They did not speak of hunger. Food was never enough. What arrived was stale, frozen, or already gone by the time it reached the mountains. Men learned to work while starving, then learned to work while dizzy, then learned to work while their bodies slowly shut down. Some collapsed quietly. Others screamed before falling. It made no difference. Stopping meant punishment. Slowing meant death. Those who could not stand were beaten until they did, or until they never stood again. Winter was worse. Wind cut through clothing like knives. Hands cracked, bled, and froze around stone tools. Fingers turned black and numb, then vanished entirely. A man without fingers was useless. Useless men did not go home. They were dragged aside, sometimes buried, sometimes left where they fell, becoming markers others were forced to step around. And still, the wall rose. At night, men whispered stories to stay awake. Stories of wives who would never know what happened. Children who would wait by the door forever. Some tried to escape, Most were caught. Escape was treated as betrayal, not of the empire, but of the wall. Punishment was public, not to correct the man, but to warn the rest. After that, fewer tried to run, not because they accepted their fate, but because they no longer had the strength. The Great Wall did not just block enemies, it erased people, one body at a time. There came a point when death became routine. Not shocking, not tragic, just practical. Moving bodies took time. Digging graves took effort. Both slowed construction. So the solution was simple: use the dead. Bodies were packed into the foundation, mixed with earth and stone, pressed down until they disappeared. The wall did not grow despite the deaths. It grew because of them. Each collapse made the next man work harder. Each burial made the wall stronger. The living learned what the wall demanded. It demanded obedience. It demanded silence. It demanded everything. Supervisors spoke of duty, of protection, of legacy, but none of them slept in the cold. None of them carried stone until their spines bent permanently forward. They watched from above while men became material. Some workers stopped speaking entirely. Language became unnecessary. Pain did not need words. Fear did not need explanation. By the time sections were finished, the men who built them were gone, replaced by new bodies, new names, new losses. The empire praised endurance. It carved achievements into history. But history never carved the faces of the builders. The wall stood tall, proud, unbroken, and beneath it, no voices remained to argue its greatness, only silence. A silence stretched as long as the wall itself. The Great Wall still stands. That is what history teaches. That is what guidebooks celebrate. That is what tourists photograph. Stone survives. People do not. No one knows exactly how many died building the wall. Some say hundreds of thousands, others say more. The truth is worse. When lives are treated as material, they stop being counted. Families waited for men who never returned. Villages learned not to ask questions. Names faded before bodies did. The empire moved on. Dynasties rose and fell. Borders shifted. Enemies came and went. But the wall remained. Not as a memory of sacrifice, but as proof that power, when unchecked, will always choose stone over life. Today, people walk on the Great Wall. They laugh, they pose for photos, they admire the view. Few of them know what lies beneath their feet. Not legends, not myths. People. Men who were never meant to be remembered. Men whose final contribution was becoming part of something they would never see completed. The wall does not speak, but if it did, it would not tell stories of glory. It would tell stories of exhaustion, of hunger, of bodies pressed into the earth so something greater could rise above them. The Great Wall was not built to protect a nation. It was built to remind everyone that empires endure only because someone else pays the price. And the wall still stands because the people beneath it never did.